But what I think is interesting is that you kind of followed Otto's trail and you found this cave in Iceland and you wrote this post, Gateway to the Hollow Earth, which definitely stuck out to me. And you write, mysterious pictoglyphs surround a warm water lake beneath a volcano on this Icelandic northern cape, seemingly a portal to another world. I found it on an expedition I undertook over a decade ago, following the trail of Grail hunter Otto Rahn to the Arctic Circle. This sounds incredible. There's a lot of mystique around the Arctic Circle. I love talking about the Arctic Circle, but you included a picture of this place. It looked very just pristine and quiet and very naturally beautiful. But talk to us about this place, this gateway to the Hollow Earth, as you poetically put it.
Well, shortly after being inducted into the Arnoba SS, after his whole Grail mission to Montsegur, Otto and a bunch of the SS guys went to Iceland and then proceeded to go up to the North Icelandic Cape into the the Arctic Circle, and we don't know why, and we don't know what happened there. Which is something that kept me scratching my head for years and years. Otto also published 2 books and claims at the end of his second book that these are the first 2 parts of his trilogy, and that the manuscript of the third book is already complete. He describes it lying on the tabletop in front of him. And he says that he started writing this third book on the North Icelandic Cape. And I'd have to hope that somewhere in this missing third book of Rahn, which no page survives of, and obviously was never published, would reveal what really happened at the North Icelandic Cape, or why they went there. And it took me a few years to get myself up there. And I followed Otto as far as I could. I knew he'd gone to Reykholt. I knew he'd sat in Snorri Sturluson's hot tub at this lava construction where Snorri wrote the Eddas. Where Otto had been there on Midsummer's Day in 1936. So I was able to follow him part of the way, and then the place that you're talking about is a warm water lake underneath the slopes. I believe it's Mount Kufla in the on the North Icelandic Cape, and certainly going down there, and I was seeing carvings in the rocks. A lot of what looked like pictoglyphs or ogham lines down with strokes through them, and different faces. Now, I'm not an archaeologist, and I have no idea of the age of those things. Like, they could be hoaxes from 20 years ago. They could be hoaxes from the 19th century. I don't know who carved those things, but the overall feel was like it had an elfin quality. It feels like it's somewhere, I guess, close to Elfland, which is something that turns up throughout the story. In Iceland, they really believe in elves, in invisible people who live on a slightly different frequency, and that was definitely the vibe I was getting down there. And it may be that some local Icelandic people had carved those faces into the stone, into the rock, but it certainly added to the eerie sensation of being at the very edge of I don't know what. The stories about the Nazis and the Hollow Earth prevail. I mean, on that particular expedition, I was reading Land That Time Forgot by Edgar Rice Burroughs, which
Yeah, I love the Hollow Earth lore. I like a lot of the same fiction that you've talked about, that, Edgar Allan Poe has some writings about it. Lovecraft obviously thought something could live inside the earth. Just the general idea I'm a big fan of. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but just the idea of hidden lands that we don't necessarily know about, things that used to be on old maps that seem to not be there anymore, islands like that, and the mystic north, the idea that there is either some kind of crazy mountain at the North Pole that's way out there in a remote area, and there might be something beneath it. There's that old map that seems to show 4 rivers flowing out of the Iron Mountain at the North Pole. What do you think of some of that stuff? Do you think that one might actually find something they wouldn't expect if they actually did get to the North or South Pole?
I think it's almost inevitable that we're going to find something that we don't expect. But I think we're much too presumptuous about what we think we know about the past. Certainly, we know only very, very little about what's really been going on for the last few million years. The number of bits of erroneous technology and bizarre bits and pieces left behind from before recorded history continue to stack up. And with the world seemingly heating up at the moment, and the ice caps melting, I wonder what else is going to come to the surface. I mean, generally throughout my life, I've found it's always valuable to go and look for oneself, because taking the hands-on approach and literally going and taking a look works wonders for one's skepticism, because you constantly see shit which just shouldn't exist.
Yes.
But it does.
That's what I think is so amazing about you. It takes a certain personality to do that. Like, I'm definitely a reader and a wonderer and an imaginer, because I just think we get so many things attached to us and we get bogged down in the life we have, where we are, and we don't have this quality that allows us to just go and see. But I think that's really amazing. And I'm curious, obviously, that's why you live where you live now. It's why you took the journey to this cave. But are there any other noteworthy mystical places that you think you've experienced that are a little more off the radar, that people don't talk about, maybe on the trail of Otto Rahn, maybe not?
Plenty. But there's a lot of places out there I wouldn't recommend anyone else try to get to, just because it's too edgy. A lot of these places, places that where we really don't know what's going on, are pretty hard to get to these days. So they're going to be at like the bottom of the ocean. The only time I've been in the blank spot on the map, which literally read relief data incomplete on even the best aerial navigation charts that I was able to get, was in the middle of the Hindu Kush and the Karakoram Mountains, and that entailed having to sneak into Afghanistan and nearly getting killed a bunch of times. But on the back of that, I was trying to get towards a Bactrian sun temple called Shamsi Bulk, the high light, or the elevated candle, that I was quite convinced at the time was the real Shambhala. But don't try that. Don't do it. Another one that was super powerful, but again, don't try it. It was a place which I only have the German name for it. They called it Spitzkop. It's in the middle of the Namib Desert. It's about 300 clicks from the tar road on when you come out of on the road to Swakopmund in Namibia, and it's basically in the middle of a completely flat place. There are these huge volcanic extrusions, massive big rock spire things that have come out of the earth, and they were obviously hugely important to nomadic people thousands of years ago, because they're absolutely crawling with rock art and painted with just unknown rock art everywhere, and artifacts lying left, right, and center. But it's super far from anywhere, and everyone who went out there had huge trouble. people went crazy. Electromagnetic fields gave them headaches, made people mad. When I was out there, we were randomly attacked by a bunch of folk who seemed to be out of Hills Have Eyes, who I think were just waiting down there to trap tourists. So I would not advise trying to get to Spitskoppe, but that place was super powerful. It didn't like the fact that we were there. Yeah.
Amazing.